Okay. All right. Hi, this is Amy. I'm a hypnotist with Sensorium Hypnosis, and today I'm going to spend a little time interviewing former client Lindsay. Lindsay, thanks so much for being here and sharing more information with a greater audience here. It's great to see you.
Thank you. I'm so happy to do anything that can share what you do. Like,
Thank you
yeah.
so much. Thank you. Hey, so Lindsay, first of all, I just want to start at the very beginning. And I want to help the audience better understand what inspired you to reach out to me.
Okay. Well, it was a rash on my face, actually.
Mhm.
So it would go along my cheeks, but then it would also go around my eyes. And so around my eyes was very, very itchy. And
Uh-huh.
so I don't know how many years I spent trying to figure it out. So I did. I tend to be more natural, so I went more of is it a food allergy? Is it what I'm putting on my face? And of
Uh-huh.
course, everybody has every advice in the book of, well, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't. So I tried many things for years, and
Uh-huh.
I would say it was I don't know how many years, maybe 5 years, and
Mm-hmm.
it would go and up, and then it would come back down, and it was like
Uh-huh.
every week it seemed like I was kind of dealing with a
Mm-hmm.
rashy, itchy situation. And sometimes it would be so bad, it would be my whole face. And
Oh,
so
right.
then
Uh-huh.
I got desperate enough to where I did try to use a pharmaceutical ointment.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed to like help for a couple days, but then it was still
Mm-hmm.
coming because it's just a band-aid. It wasn't, I was like, I don't know what is causing it. So I'm
Uh-huh.
always about trying to figure out the root cause or where
Yeah.
this is coming from. So
Okay.
it took many food things, none of it really ultimately worked.
Okay.
So cutting out a lot of different things. And so then I so what brought me to the idea of hypnosis was actually that I did hypno babies when I was
Ah.
pregnant
Uh-huh.
with
Yeah.
both my pregnancies.
Uh-huh.
So I was fully aware of there's a couple things about hypno babies. There's hypnobirthing, the book that you read
Mm-hmm.
to understand like the concept of societal traumas.
Mm-hmm.
So like putting trauma onto women throughout our whole existence, even from childhood
Uh-huh.
all the way up to be fearful of birth.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew there was like this trauma component with
Mm-hmm.
birth. And so even
Uh-huh.
subconscious that I'm not aware of, but it's there. So I wanted to
Okay.
work through that. And so then there's the Hypno Babies program where you listen to the MP3.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was MP3 back then. You can just do it all on your phone now, but you listen to that every night and there's a routine. And so it did wonders for me. Like I was able to have a birth center birth in less than 2 hours. Water broke less than 2 hours. And then I did a home birth with my second one and I had back labor the whole time and I wouldn't have been able to do it without hypno babies. So I knew how much that training your subconscious to not be fearful, how important
Uh,
that was. So
mm-hmm.
then when I'm dealing with this, I'm like, okay, so it's not the food, it's not the water, it's not the face product. I'm literally not doing much at all. And so for like putting on my face and things. So I was thinking, I'm like, okay, so you're guided, right? This is all,
Mm-hmm.
I'm guided to try to research something else, but it was emotional. So I
Mm-hmm.
figured it was happening emotionally. I don't know
Uh-huh.
why. It's something
Uh-huh.
subconscious. So I was aware of that subconscious
Mm-hmm.
underlying emotion of things. And
Wow.
so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I was like, I know it's something to do with that. And of course,
Okay.
when you talk to people, then they're like, no, it's
Yeah.
something else. It's like more physical. It's like, I don't
Right.
think this is physical. I think it's more
Right.
emotional.
Well, it's
And so,
amazing.
yeah,
So you had
yeah.
this beautiful foundational understanding and personal experience with hypnosis that helped you on a deeper subconscious level. And you understood the role that emotions play in manifesting physically. right?
Yes.
In
Yes.
terms
Yeah.
of physical symptoms, whether it be, a rash or digestive issues or what have you. Lindsay, do you remember how you found me specifically?
Yeah. So I Google mapped like in the map quest, right? Or
Yeah.
whatever it is called on my
Uh-huh.
phone. And I said, hypnotherapist near me. And
Uh-huh.
you were the first one that
Oh,
popped up. And
uh-huh.
so since I live in Marysville and you're in like
Uh-huh.
Stevens, then it was very
Uh-huh.
close. So I was
Uh-huh.
like, yeah, that's great. But even as you look around to the other ones, it wasn't, there was just something very conventional. And I'm not looking for, I want somebody who can go deeper. I don't want
Ah,
like the typical like definition of a therapist up
uh-huh.
on their website. So
Okay.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna reach out to Amy. And so
Okay.
when I did, then
Mm-hmm.
you were more than I could have expected. I was like, oh, this must be destiny to work with her because
Wow. Okay.
because
All
this
right.
it happened. You were the only person I contacted. And I was like, okay, I know I'm being guided to work with Amy, especially after
Wow.
talking to you. Yeah.
Wow. Well, amazing, Lindsay. And thank you for that background. Very, very helpful, I think, for our viewers. So then can you share a little bit more about, I know so many interesting things happen in this space, but let's break it down for viewers because
Yeah.
I, um, I have some foundational principles in the work that I do. I believe the answers are within. I do believe, obviously, that emotions and things that hover in the subconscious beneath the surface of our awareness, right, need to be identified, right,
Yeah.
for so many reasons. One of which, it shines a light on unhealed trauma, right? But the other truth is, in tapping into the power of the subconscious mind, each client can then begin to piece together their own healing formula, right? And
Yeah.
so let's talk about the rash and the root
Mhm.
cause and what surprising things came from this process.
Okay. So I think the number one surprising thing, I'll just say, put it out there, is that of all the work I did with you, the rash was the most minor thing, right? Like it tackled
Okay.
it, no problem. Boop,
Uh-huh.
out the door. Like, yeah, I
Uh-huh.
was like, okay, it's just this. It's like, oh, okay. Like, so then, and
Yeah.
I'm, once you become aware of things and you're able to work it into your everyday, like, but it wasn't like I was seeing you every time about the rash. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah,
Right. Like it was,
it
okay.
does.
The rash just got me in the door,
Uh-huh.
willing to spend extra money on myself and do some
Uh-huh.
self-healing with you.
Uh-huh.
So that's what got me in the door. I'm desperate enough because it was
Mm-hmm.
really annoying. So, anyways, but what came up was that it's related to when I speak my truth. So if I'm nervous or I know it's not going to be fully accepted by the people I'm talking to or
Mm-hmm.
somebody, family, especially family is a common one, but just people you encounter too. So I tend to not be very mainstream, so
Mm-hmm.
I will speak against the mainstream.
Uh-huh.
And we had connected that this is like where when you get embarrassed or shamed, you
Uh-huh.
get really red here. And so
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, oh, that's really fascinating because I can feel like I also have like blood pressure kind of increase when
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to people and I'm not
Mm-hmm.
being confrontational. It's nothing crazy, but it's just me speaking what I believe
Yeah.
and what I think is truthful.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
so you were able to say, oh, it comes from those feelings. And
Mm-hmm.
what was most interesting is that you were able to tap in and you said that I it's a reoccurring thing in past lives.
Uh-huh.
And so that was really fascinating as well. So,
Mhm.
and the message that my guides gave you were also it's safe to speak in this life. Like you
Yeah.
can speak.
Yeah.
So I do come back to that regularly when I find myself in a situation where I start getting sweaty or like
Uh-huh.
get a little
Uh-huh.
nervous about wanting to say something.
Uh-huh.
So yeah.
Do you remember some of the shifts or changes you experienced or encountered moving forward when you began to practice speaking your truth?
Yes, because it's more of a relief. It felt like a relief to
Uh,
me. And
uh-huh.
then and just knowing that I'm actually here to kind of go against the grain as well
Okay. All
too.
right.
So that confidence of take it or leave it, I'm not gonna show physically that it bothers me that I'm speaking
Yeah,
anymore.
right.
It's just what I believe in. If you want to take it, then you can. But it was
Yeah,
like confidence and just relief is really the biggest word I can use to
right.
describe because it was like a
Well,
big letting go. Like, and that was a constant message, right?
yeah, letting go,
Was
right?
like
I remember
let
this.
go.
Sure. Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
this feels to me like, from what you're describing, a journey of self-empowerment, a journey of being able to give
Yes.
yourself permission to just speak what's on your mind and in your heart and in your soul, and to not need or look for the validation or the approval or even
Yes.
disapproval, and not to be attached to that or reactive to that. And so, right, that alone and that mindset or mind frame lowers the anxiety, right? Lowers the
Yes. Yes.
fear, lowers the anticipatory anxiety to the point where now it no longer needs to manifest on the face. There's no reason to be
Yes.
embarrassed.
Yeah.
This is perfectly okay to express yourself, right?
Yeah.
How beautiful, Lindsay. Thank you. That was so wonderfully articulated and so clear. Can you also share with viewers anything else that came out of our work together that was surprising,
There's
unexpected?
so many things that
Uh-huh.
happened. It was like I really didn't know what to expect when I came to you. I was just
Yeah.
like, I need somebody to help me with this rash.
Yeah.
But I
Uh-huh.
I tell people that when I would come to you, I sometimes felt like I was in a box. Like I didn't know what to think or what to do next, or I
Mhm.
just kind of felt like I felt a lot of sensations in my hands, like some
Mhm.
weird energy going on. And I'm like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing. And then I'd
Mhm.
come see you and it felt like a door just got blown out the side of the box. And I was like, oh, that's where I go. All right.
Uh-huh.
So it was just very eye-opening in what I did experience in all of our sessions. Each one was so powerful. But I'm trying to think what one, oh gosh, okay, I'm trying to think what I was just going to say. I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry.
That's
Um,
okay.
the it was getting learning and having the tool of being able to hear my own higher self. So like
Oh,
the messages
yes.
that I'm getting,
Uh-huh.
you helped forge that channel. So where before I'd be like, I don't know how to meditate. My mind's going crazy. What do I do? Blah, blah, blah.
Uh-huh.
Because we're all told to meditate, but we don't really know what that feels like or what
Mm-hmm.
you're really supposed to be doing. And
Mm-hmm.
especially for me, I'm an overthinker. So
Mm-hmm.
I like to know things. I'm very curious. I want to
Uh-huh.
investigate. So you gave me the foundation to be able to under, understand what was coming through. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was really funny because like my higher self or spirit or whatever people want to call it. It was funny in the beginning. It was so slow and so gentle, and the words were just one word or two words. Like sometimes when people think about hypnosis, they go so deep into hypnosis, they can talk, like they can give all these things. It's almost like their messages are coming through them and they can speak out loud. But for a lot of it, I couldn't talk to you because it would take me out of it. So we would just have to sit there. So that was interesting. So, but towards the end, we were able to communicate and keep in that level of meditation and hypnosis.
Absolutely.
So that was,
the
so
ideas, and that's very common. The ideas and the ability to communicate in that deep theta state becomes more fluid when we begin to just trust the process and begin to let go, right? The higher self is coming through. You almost get an objective third-party view of the trauma self, right? From through the lens of the higher self, which is amazing, right? So, I mean, it really does demonstrate over time how the answers really are within you, right? And this process, a lot of people, who have no experience with hypnosis, come in here or approach this as if this is mind control, right? There's some way that the hypnotist is manipulating other people's thoughts. Can you speak at all to that? I mean, did you find
that's every time? Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay. But every time I talk to somebody and I bring up my hypnosis friend, Amy, they automatically go to like, oh yeah, when I was in high school, I went to the fair and how to like literally one of my friends just did it again. And I'm like, that's not what I'm talking about at all. So it's like you're guiding your client to do it for themselves. It has nothing to do with anything. And then you have all your amazing like energy healing that you can do at the same time too. So it's not like you're just doing hypnotherapy to retrain the subconscious. Like the hypno babies is more like the basic hypnosis, like in my mind. So because you're trying to retrain you're just retraining the subconscious, but it's not really getting to the root. Like where does the root of my fear about birth come from, right? So like you can take it so much more, and so
it's root cause and helping you piece together your own formula, right? And a lot of times when I'm sharing pieces of wisdom, it's literally I'm parroting back what I'm reading from you energetically, right? So there's a lot of synergy going on in this space, and it takes, I say it's a process of taking my energy and your energy and merging it, plus anything in the etheric realm, to manifest like the fullest self-healing experience possible, if that makes sense, right? To the spiritual people out there listening to what we're talking about. Well, and Lindsay, anything else? You have sent me over the years many referrals. Can you speak to that? Like, how do you know whether or not somebody you're referring is indeed going to be a good fit for the work I do? I know that's kind of
a great question. But the number one thing is that like once you learn about the trauma in yourself, it becomes more obvious that we all have trauma. It doesn't matter if you had a good childhood or not. Like it just is trauma. And like what we've discovered is that past life can also cause problems too. So when I'm talking to my friends and just people I'm meeting and they're expressing things kind of like how I did with my rash, like I don't know where it's come from. I don't know what's going on. And it's like it always seems to go back to trauma. So it's So it's very easy for me to say, this is what I did. This is how I've healed myself. This is how I'm continuing to heal myself. We constantly are challenged with our journey of being human and how we are learning and doing things to help heal ourselves currently, but I can use it as an example. And I don't know, I don't know. It was such an amazing experience with you that I think that speaks volumes to my friends and just people I meet and things too. But yeah, like it was just so helpful. And I do have, so I have different reasons for referring you. So I will refer you for more like the therapeutic, like healing type. So say it's like a relationship issue or something, like, well, why are you in that relationship? Like, why are you agreeing to being abused? So it's like there's something that is doing that in your mind, and you may not even be aware of it. So why don't you go explore it and see? And it's not to become more of a victim. That's what I love about you, is it empowers you to take responsibility for your experience and get away from that victim mentality. Because sometimes when we're like, oh, I had a traumatic childhood, or I had this happen to me, or whatever, then it's not, you're not taking responsibility. You're putting it onto them that they did it. But it's like, I like how you encompass, it's like, well, there's a give and take. So we have this whole energetic thing going on. But yeah, just anybody who can find more understanding or understanding, whatever you want to call it, to just knowing more about themselves. Like just go deeper and try to figure it out.
Sure. And maybe an intuitive sense that you have, that they're open to understanding that they can manifest better outcomes for themselves, right?
I definitely only recommend people who would be open to like, if they've listened to my experience and they are fascinated by it or whatever. But people definitely have to be open and not judgmental and like really rigid in their ways of wanting to live life. Like you got to be willing to kind of change things and look at yourself. And it's hard because we're not taught this in society to like look at your emotions and try to figure out where they came from. So
absolutely. Well, and you know the divine timing piece, because I know there's been times when you've reached out to me and you've said, I really want so-and-so to come and see you, but she's not ready yet. And then like maybe some months or even years down the road, hey, she's ready, right? So you have this incredible intuitive ability and connection, deep soul connection with other people, that gives you signals, and so that you can refer people at the time that feels right. And then, Lindsay, one last thing, and thank you so much. I think this will be very, very helpful for our viewers to understand one of the many ways that hypnosis can be used, right? But also, can you share a little bit about your educational background and the healing, helping work that you've done in the past, just to give our viewers, I like my viewers to get a profile of the type of souls that end up in this space, because I think that's also helpful too.
So I went to Western Washington University up in Bellingham, and I graduated with, they call it a kinesiology degree now. It's a little bit different. Back then they had different wordings, but so I've always been really passionate about the physical and the body, the physical body, and also being healthy and what that means. And so discovering truth to what actually being healthy is. And so I did have the mainstream training, and then I decided I want to be a personal trainer. So I did that for many years, and before I started having babies. And then but I had a very big awakening during those times, because everything I was taught in school didn't actually work.
Oh, yeah. I had a similar epiphany. I get it.
Yeah. So like the typical, like, I'm not going to go into depth on it, but
Sure.
they don't work. It doesn't, like the food pyramid, for instance, is one example. Like we were taught all about the food pyramid, and that doesn't make you healthy at all. So I went on this journey of discovering, well, what can help people lose weight easily, and because that's always why people want personal trainers, typically, most often. And so I became very successful. I was working a lot. I worked too much, in fact, and worked into adrenal fatigue. So that started my own healing journey too. So everything I learn comes through myself, is what I mostly find. So so then I getting into supplements, and what is actually good supplements, and what is not good supplements, and so that's mostly where I am. And
that's amazing.
So
what a beautiful journey. So in closing, Lindsay, is there anything you can share with weight loss clients in terms of the importance of dealing with the emotional aspect of weight loss versus the physical,
right, because I would be a totally different trainer now. Like, and I still do help family and friends and stuff, but I wouldn't even, I joke and I say I would be the worst trainer now, because I know that it is all emotional. And you can do all the things you can. And I can't tell you how many times I saw the fluctuation with clients, and like, well, it didn't stick. And it's like, well, now I know it's the trauma. So what is causing you to have these habits? Like, you need to go deeper. I can't do that for you. I can surmise, just because I'm a curious human and I like to know as much as possible and investigate. And I find humans very fascinating, but I'm not the expert to do it gently, like how your mode is very gentle and very kind and very loving. And so I wouldn't, I don't know. I feel like that's the number one. Like, if you're going to be changing your food or changing your water, changing, like doing detox, it all needs to be done with an emotional healing of some sort at the same time. Like,
absolutely.
It has to. Otherwise it won't stick. It won't stick.
Absolutely. Well, and the other truth is, for many people who have unhealed trauma, their body is in consistent fight or flight, which means the adrenal glands are, pumping epinephrine, norepinephrine, and their body internally is never quite hormonally leveling off to the point where it would be receptive, to some of those more mainstream strategies. And also, what keeps the body in fight or flight is what's going on in the inner dialogue, and the self-limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging behavior, and the beliefs, deeply ingrained in the psyche, and so doing a lot of that deeper work here can be a wonderful complementary tool to all the work that personal trainers do, nutritionists do, all the other helper healers out there working with people on finding their healthiest version of themselves. Lindsay, I've absolutely enjoyed having you with us today. Again, my name is Amy. I'm a hypnotist with Sensorium Hypnosis here in Lake Stevens, Washington. And I have so much gratitude and appreciation to you, Lindsay, for your time, for your wisdom and insights, and for your willingness to share your experiences with others who are considering hypnosis. So you and I know we'll talk again soon, and I appreciate you so much. I'm going to disconnect now, and again, thank our viewers for tuning in.
Thank
Take care now.
you.
Sure. Bye-bye now.